What is happening in J Gaming Dude here, and let us sort of gather around the fire once more to tell a tale of a new TCG Forbidden and Limited list, because there have been quite a few changes. In fact, there's been a lot. I thought that December's list was actually going to be quite a handful to take in, but knowing how Yu-Gi-Oh works at the moment, I would say this hits hard, this Forbidden Unlimited list. So let's just kind of jump into it. I'll try and explain it in the most basic way possible, because I feel like a significant majority of it is going to be very much on a particular focus. So first and foremost, on the newly forbidden list, we have Artifact Scythe. So for those of you guys that don't know, Artifact Scythe is specifically used to block your opponent out of using the extra deck. And for those of you guys that don't really play Yu-Gi-Oh, the extra deck is where a significant majority of monsters that are summoned from combo decks and make use of very powerful effects and summon very powerful monsters come from the extra deck, of which you can only have up to a maximum of 15 monsters. Completely locking your opponent out of some of their best monsters and their best plays is a good way and an easy way of being able to win. However, it can be extremely unfair to certain decks that very much rely on that. So you could literally shut down entire decks with this card. It was one that was a lot of people wanted to ban a lot sooner, so it's surprising to see it being out for as long as it has, but they finally hit it. Still 3 on the OCG, but that's a story for another day. Next on the list is Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. Now, this one is specifically... Oh, it's banned in the OCG as well. Okay, well, there's some sort of continuity there. But Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. No monsters can be special summoned except for wind monsters. And this is likely to bring in Floowandereeze, because all they do is special summon wind monsters. And this is an excellent floodgate, because stopping your opponent from literally being able to special summon, just like with Artifact Scythe, you're stopping them from summoning from what is likely the best place they can get cards from. But with Barrier Statue, you're stopping them from being able to bring out like special summon monsters from literally everywhere, unless they are also using a Floowandereeze engine or something along those lines. So reeling in those sorts of cards, so that's interesting to see. Now, I'm going to touch on Sprite Alpha real quick. I don't play much Sprite, so I don't know how this is going to really affect the Sprite engine, but I know for a fact that Sprite Alpha is a massive powerhouse in the Sprite engine, but I think as long as they don't hit Giant Sprite, I think they'll still be very okay. It's just, this is going to be interesting to see how Sprites move without Alpha anymore, but I do need to kind of look that up a little bit more. But now on to literally I think the main reason why this ban list is so very important. Tearlaments Kit Kalos has been banned, so Tearlaments got completely destroyed, completely wrecked. They've completely been slaughtered, massacred. You could use so many words, you can use so many phrases, you can use so many things. Their main boss monster, Kit Kalos, has been banned, so she is now no longer able to be okay, so for those of you guys that don't know, actually from the very beginning, let's explain. Tearlaments are cards that love to exist within the graveyard, because when they do hit the graveyard, you can then fusion summon monsters from that and bring them onto the field, and then be able to really sort of play around. Think of the graveyard as like another hand for this particular type of deck. The more cards they send to the graveyard, the more beneficial it is, because the more they can chain, they can combo and add more and more cards, ultimately being able to flood the entire field with their own monsters. And these monsters have incredible effects as well. So Kit Kalos is the boss monster, and she has been banned and also in the OCG. I think she might have been banned in the OCG way before getting hit in the TCG, but yeah, so Tearlaments is actually the current meta in Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitive TCG competitiveness, but unfortunately that looks to be no longer the case, and it'll be interesting to see how the other decks begin to flourish with Tearlaments being taken down, and the fact that if Tearlaments isn't going to be around for much longer, I don't think that what was that other thing starting with B? Bestials. Yeah, Bestials isn't going to be around for much longer either, because they were a good counter to Tearlaments. But I digress. Alongside the absolute slaughter of Tearlaments, we have Tearlaments Shrine at 1 copy, Tearlaments Merly also at 1 copy, Havnus, Medora the Sword Oracle, Keldo the Sacred Protector, Kelbeck the Ancient Vanguard, and Agado the Ancient Sentinel, all at 1 copy. These are all cards relating to the Tearlaments, using their abilities to not only special summon, fusion summon, but especially with Agdo, Kelbeck, and Keldo, they all exist to send cards to your graveyard. So being able to send the top 5 cards to your graveyard and then being able to manipulate the graveyard as you please. These give Tearlaments an insane boost. So it's interesting to see that these cards have pretty much been universally limited. So not only are all of the Tearlaments card main deck monsters affected in the case of Havnus, Merlin, and Shrine, but also their major support, Agado, Kelbeck, and Keldo, are all at 1 copy, effectively kind of ruining their potential, because their multiple copies allowed them to keep constantly going on and on, being able to send more and more cards to the graveyard from their deck. And with Kikalos, if it was Kikalos that just got hit, then they could still function, because there are new Tearlaments being released that might be able to just do just as much, if not slightly more than Kikalos. But even if a card stronger than Kikalos did get released, it's not going to be used because of all of the other cards getting hit. So it's one thing to bring hedge trimmers to cut down a hedge, and another thing to use a double-ended chainsaw to absolutely murder a bush, but that's pretty much what's happened here. But yeah, so simply put, Tearlaments is gone burgers unless like people can come up with creative ways of being able to use whatever cards are remaining. But honestly, that's more like a good luck tier, if that's any indication. But yeah, I guess that's sort of like my little talk on Tearlaments, because that was, I guess, kind of like the main point of discussion around the whole Forbidden and Limited list. Moving on to the last bit of the newly limited, we have Ancient Fairy Dragon, which has been like banned for quite some time, and they're only bringing it back now. This card has been banned for a very long time, so I'm just surprised that they're bringing it in at all. Well, sometimes some things just gotta give. Moving on, we might as well also just finish looking at the newly unlimited cards, which are Destrudo, the Lost Dragon's Frisian. This card was banned for a while. I can't remember for what reason exactly, but yeah, that was definitely, I think, banned before my time jumping back into sort of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta and that sort of discussion. Now we have Jet Synchron and Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion. Both of these were banned due to their easy abusability. In the case of Jet Synchron and Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion, they were both they're both machine type tuners, which means they were used with Crystron Halki Vibrax, but with Halk being banned, there's really no real fear that things are going to go really insane with them. so they can be unlimited. But the thing is that they were actually they were limited just to kind of test things out after Halqifibrax did get banned. So and for those of you guys that don't know, Crystron Halqifibrax is a link monster that abuses the ability to special summon numerous tuners to the field in order to be able to not only link them off into stronger, bigger, better monsters, but all like other Mecha Phantom Beast cards, like Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon, going in further into those sorts of combos, or just being able to sort of abuse the ability of summoning lots of monsters to get higher link rating monsters, or just being able to go out with some straight up synchros, but that was kind of less of a reason to use it. Servant of Endymion. You know what? Pendulums are gonna have to get whatever they can. I personally have never used pendulums because I never truly understood how they work, but at the end of the day, when it comes to pendulum cards, like, they were cut down majorly in terms of power, so I don't think any pendulum card should realistically be banned at all unless they're genuinely super overpowered. True King, Lithus Gem, The Disaster. This was out for quite some time as well. I think there's quite a few True King cards that were actually banned, but I can't speak to Lithus Gem because it has been way too long since it was last used. But one that surprises me is Yatagarasu. So what was once one of the longest banned cards in all of Yu-Gi-Oh's history has now become unlimited, and it kind of shows the power of, like, what, not the power of, but rather the effect of power creep and what that can do to cards, especially in earlier parts of Yu-Gi-Oh. So with the Yardalock no longer possible, and the fact that Yatagarasu is actually a genuinely terrible card, I think it's safe to say that it's good to go back to unlimited status. And finally, Spiral Resort, which was limited for the longest time because it was meant to reel in spirals, but with Spiral Master Plan banned, I think pretty much that's kind of safe to play around with. I think they're banned, or Master Plan is limited, but the fact is that having multiple copies of Master Plan is what made cards made the Spiral deck really good, alongside its synchronicity with Spiral Double Helix, which is a very powerful link monster that gave Spirals exactly what it needed to reach tier 1 status, as did Tearlaments during the last half a year of being released. So yeah, no, actually it's been over half a year. It's probably been like 8 months, but yeah. So yeah, with all that said and done, that is the Forbidden Unlimited list. So despite being extremely heavy-handed on Tearlaments, which they didn't need to be as hard on, let me know what you guys think about the new banned list in the comments below. But it'll be interesting to see what other people think about this, and not just someone like myself who kind of generally watches Yu-Gi-Oh on the sidelines and passively takes in information here and there. So it'll be good to hear what you guys think. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time.